Good morning. We call this County Commission meeting to order. Please rise for a Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please silence all your cell phones. Take a moment of silent prayer. Thank you. I'll begin this morning's roll call with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Culberson is here. Commissioner Doug Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Stephen.
Here.
Commissioner Vicki Cobb.
Here.
All present and accounted for. I don't have anybody signed up for public comment this morning. Anybody in the audience have a public comment? If not, we'll move on to administrative business. Mr. Lothar, you have something for us this morning? No. Any of the commissioners have any administrative business?
I have one thing, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
There's been a lot of people concerned about our ARPA funds here lately, about not being transparent on how much we received and where it went. Has anything changed on that since we've last reported on that? Because it should be between $15, $16 million.
Commissioners, first, the allocations to every county is available in multiple locations online. The federal government, NACO, the U.S. Treasury, they put all that information out. That number has not changed. We've received $15.8 million roughly. Mm-hmm. We've allocated that to, a majority of it is going to stormwater projects, as we've discussed. We spent a total of $5.3 million roughly on Cushing. 3.5 of that was for Council on Aging. 900,000 was the Crisis Stabilization Center, and then 690,000 on the Extension Office. $2 million went to Pacer for their 155th Street project that is underway right now, and the balance is going to stormwater. So that's bridges and large culverts. That's where the balance. They're underway now, but it's all been obligated. It's just that those stormwater projects are being completed right now. Actually, several of them are going on, and more will start later this year. We have to have it all obligated by the end of the year, which isn't a problem for us because we've already obligated it, and we'll have it spent in the time that's necessary. So far, we've actual checks written, money went out, is about $9.8 million.
And then also on that Cushing, part of that was a parking lot that also had some KDOT matching grants.
We did receive a grant for the parking lot out of KDOT, but we did have to, the county had to fund a portion.
Right. So it wasn't all spent on on the building interior.
There was some other
outside improvements outside the building.
Anything that we've done at Cushing to start out, that's where it was.
And if we would have had to purchase that building.
Well, I think let's just talk about constructing that building. New construction of a building that size with that many square foot. I'll just stick to the main floor is $12 million. Just the first level, $12 million. The other three levels that are there are probably another around $20 million, I would guess. So it costs a little more as you go up. So $32 to $35 million would be a very conservative estimate on what it would take to build that building. Just purchasing a building that size, even in the condition it was, is probably, I wouldn't even know, but if I was going to throw a number out there, I'd say $9 to $10 million for.
And then we would still have to spend $5 million on it.
Then we still would have had to.
And what did we pay for it?
Zero.
We had to pay $1 because
$1
of the transaction.
Goes to transaction fee.
So, and then the townships are eligible for funds if they would apply through the state, correct?
The townships and some of the other entities, some cities that were smaller, they call them non-entitled units of government, which means they didn't get a direct check. The county's got a direct check. Those non-entitled units, their money actually went to the state. The federal government sent the money to the state specifically for those units of government that didn't get a direct disbursement. They had to apply to the state. The state set up the program. I'm not completely familiar with it, but I do know that they circulated that information that it was available.
But the state would have sent notification to the townships?
That's
in the
yes,
cities?
it wouldn't have, we've discussed, I think when it first happened, we discussed it here, but yeah, it would be that's a state ran program.
Okay, well, that's how I remember it, but
Must be
I didn't know if something changed.
No, Doug, it must be election year. Go ahead.
Okay.
So, just to underline what's being said here, we have focused on infrastructure where we could with these funds, and it's going to things that last for the county. These culverts, these things that the Cushing Hospital,
Tangible.
155th Street,
Yeah, that's good.
all of these projects are things that are tangible and last and are not just cash handouts
Yeah.
that go away.
That's
These
right.
are things that will last for generations.
These are things we would have had to do anyways.
And we need to
Yes.
point out
$100.
that we were paying almost $1 million in rent for the departments that are now housed in Cushing that pay no rent. So we're saving ongoing rent costs.
And you can always put things on social media that aren't true, but when you really consider what the facts are about it, these have been good decisions.
Yeah, in Cushing, we do still have a tenant in there that pays rent, I think, to your point, Commissioner Culbertson. So it is generating an income stream for the county right now.
Yes.
And that,
Yep.
I'm not sure how long that will continue, but for at least the near future, that's going to continue on. Obviously not enough rent to pay for all the improvements we made in there, but it is enough rent to pay for the utilities.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I did have one thing, and I just wanted to read a little statement here. Last Friday, the Kansas Supreme Court reaffirmed the Hodis versus Nauser decision that declares that the 1859 Kansas Constitution affirms the right to dismemberment abortion. Please read the Constitution for yourself. You will see no mention of legalizing abortion or anywhere a declaration that it is a right. This decision is a Kansas version of Roe versus Wade, the judicial thumb holding down the scales of justice against the unborn. Basic health and safety laws, parental notification laws, women's right to know laws, and all other protections of the unborn suddenly in Kansas are being swept away one by one by a nefarious court decision.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Stephen? Any other?
I have one more. Did all the commissioners see the article in the Leavenworth Times about political signs in the state right away?
Yeah.
It says KDOT's going to remove them. They're prohibited. And then I ran across something back in 2015. It was statute 252711. It's about political signs. It says no city or county shall regulate or prohibit the placement of the number of political signs on private property or the unpaved right-of-way, city streets, county roads, private property during the 45-day before election. So,
Yeah, the only thing they can do is require them not to be in.
Oh, a site, the site distance
setback.
problem. It just says
setback.
signs cannot impede the sight lines or sight distance
Yeah.
for safety reasons.
Yeah.
But, so, anyways, 45 days, so some signs have been out longer than 45 days.
Yeah.
But that's all there is. But KDOT will remove your signs.
And when they do, they take them to the local KDOT office.
Yeah,
You can pick them up in the
retrieve them.
parking
They don't
lot.
destroy them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can pick them up in the parking lot
Right.
and get them back.
Yeah. Usually a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, anybody else have any administrative business this morning? If not, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. No further discussion. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Consent agenda passes. Moving on to formal board action. Consider a motion to authorize the Council on Aging Director to sign the First Judicial Director Elder Abuse Multidisciplinary Team MOU. Morning, Connie.
Good morning, Commissioners. As noted in the request for board action, Kansas Statute 75782 directed the Kansas State Attorney General to appoint a multidisciplinary team coordinator to deal with Kansas elder and dependent adult abuse. That team has been formed. It consists of local law enforcement, including all of the local townships as well as county law enforcement, the county attorney, other agencies, of which the Council on Aging is a part. This group has met 3 times to date, and the purpose is to help coordinate investigations for adult and dependent adult abuse within local jurisdictions to ensure that we're all on the same page and moving things along as much as we can. At the Council on Aging, we are all mandatory reporters, so we see folks on a daily basis. Sometimes we are the first line of defense for folks for elder abuse. We notice bruises and things like that weren't there the day before. So our membership in this group is critically important to ensuring the overall health and welfare of elders in this community. So I am seeking your approval to sign the MOU to continue to be a part of that group and further this cause.
Very well.
Yeah, pretty clear to me.
Any commissioners have any questions?
No.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to authorize the Council of Aging Director to sign the first Judicial District Elder Abuse Multidisciplinary Team MOU.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Thanks, Connie.
See you, Connie.
Thank you.
You guys are doing a great job out there. We really appreciate it.
The older we get, the more we appreciate
That's right.
Some truth to that, Doug.
All right.
it. No.
That's all I have for formal board actions. Move on to presentations and discussion items. Quarterly reports. Solid waste is first on the list. Morning, Tammy. How are you?
I know you have budgets this morning, so we'll just move this right along.
You have budgets too. You're
We
part of that process.
I know. We processed 497 more tons the second quarter of this year over last year. Tire tonnage was the same. Special waste is up 1 ton. So, paper that I already mentioned. Cleanup, Jeff, is up 72 residents and 36 tons. All permits are up to date. Household hazardous waste appointments are up by 86. We had 3 successful household hazardous waste events with Baser topping the pounds up. They were up by 4,374 pounds. Tonganoxie was up 4,178, and the city of Leavenworth stayed about the same. The carrot results was that we needed to post another sign, so that's been done. I'm scheduled for back surgery on L1 and 2 and T11 and 12 next Wednesday. Jim will be in my if y'all need it.
Good luck with that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Take
yeah,
care.
yeah.
Speedy recovery.
Yes, absolutely.
We can hope. I'm ready to get rid of this.
I bet.
Yeah.
Any commissioners have any questions for Tammy?
Party's
I have.
clean to me.
How do we compare per ton to other counties for what we charge?
Cost-wise?
Yeah, cost-wise. How do we compare?
Well, we're lower.
We're lower than other counties?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, for the last time that we did a cost comparison, we were coming in lower.
So I have a couple of questions. One, what's the average wait time, would you say? And is a certain day different than another? And how has that changed since we added the second scale?
Okay, so there's no rhyme or reason on
Today's,
who's coming in and who's not. Tuesdays and Saturdays are typically the busier days. And it just depends on how many hand unloaders we have in line, how many just regular pickup trucks, how many commercial vehicles we have. So there's no rhyme or reason. Now it has sped up since we have the outbound scale.
Yeah.
I think when we first got that, we did a Saturday to Saturday comparison, and it was a significant increase in getting in and out. But it depends on the people that are in 4, 5, and 6. How long are they taking to unload? Do they have help? Is it just one person unloading a load of shingles? There's just so many variables.
Right. So prior to adding the second exit scale, you could see up to a 2-hour wait. But since we've added the scale, I don't think anybody's seen a long wait.
So I'm not saying there's never a long wait. It just depends. But yeah, it's typically not 2 hours anymore.
Okay. And another question.
So we don't tell them when they call how long is the wait to bring a book, a bottle of water.
And then how frequent do you see people taking advantage of the free dump day once a year to every county resident is allowed to dump for free once a year? How do you see the numbers for that? Do you think there's a lot, or?
Well, yeah, like I said, from the first quarter last year to our second quarter this year, it's up by 72 residents.
Okay. And has that picked up a lot in the last year, or do you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then.
But we've had additional, like Saturday, we had 241 customers through there. We're hitting 200 days now more often than not.
Okay. And I noticed in your report, I'm just bringing it up so that people can hear it on the video. The last question I have is, could you or Mr. Lothry explain what's come up lately for some reason a lot is the transfer station that was proposed for the city of Leavenworth, and it's been said that the problem with Leavenworth City's trash service now is because of the county not allowing the city to use our local transfer station. So I was going to ask either one of you if you could explain what the situation is between the county and the city of Leavenworth transfer station.
I'll take that one, Commissioner.
Okay.
First of all, we don't tell anybody they can't use our transfer station unless they've created a problem at some point where we've had to ask them not to come back, which is usually a result of threatening of the staff. That's not the case with the city. I'll just go in 2017 when we were preparing the 2018 budget. Tammy and I were looking through the budget, and I noticed that in the past the county had levied a mill levy to actually help fund solid waste. It's an enterprise fund, and it should fund itself based on user fees. So we talked about trying to transition to a point where that would no longer be the case, where we had to levy. And we did that over the course of 2 years, I think.
I believe so.
But what that means is then we have to charge everybody who's coming across the scale what it costs us to operate that business. It's not a profit center for us. We do not take money out of solid waste. What's generated there stays there. It's spent on staff, equipment, facility improvements, like the second scale. So before then, the city of Leavenworth was receiving I will call it a subsidized rate because it was lower than any of the other haulers. They were the largest hauler going to the transfer station, and at some point they decided, at the county level, had decided to provide them a subsidized rate. By subsidized, I mean either the private haulers were paying more to cover that, or we levied that tax, so everybody in the county was paying a tax to cover that subsidized rate. We notified the city that we'd no longer be able to do that because we were transitioning to a fully funded center. At that time, the city decided they were going to take their business to another landfill, actually directly to the landfill instead of the transfer station. And that's not a problem for us. That does not impact our business out there. Our direct expenditures are tied to the amount of refuse that's brought to the transfer station. We have to pay somebody to haul it off and take it to a landfill. The more that comes in, the more we pay. The less that comes in, the less we pay. Our fixed costs are our fixed costs, which is staff and facility, regardless of the number of loads coming in. I guess that's my point. So the city since that time, the city has asked us a couple of times if we would reconsider and provide them a lower rate to use our transfer station. And we replied to them and all haulers, we simply can't do that. Everybody pays the same rate, whether you're a private hauler or a municipal hauler. You pay the same rate because our cost of doing business on your load is the same as our cost of doing business on everybody else's load. So that's where we are. The city is welcome to use our facility, and they do occasionally if something comes up. They're welcome to use our facility. We simply charge them the same amount that we charge the private haulers.
So the amount we charge is just a pass-through rate of what it costs us to get it
We
to operate.
cover our overhead, and like our operational overhead, we cover that, and we cover what it costs to haul the refuse to a landfill. Each year, our contract allows our hauler that takes it to the landfill to evaluate where they're at and adjust their rate. Once they do that, Tammy and I sit down and look at what our rate then needs to be, and we adjust our rate. We usually review our rate twice a year to make sure we're on track. We do not overcharge. We're not trying to generate a whole bunch of extra revenue. We keep it tight enough that we actually look at it twice a year, so that if usually late July, August, we look at it, and then again in January, we make sure we're still on track so we don't run short. Because again, it's an enterprise fund. If you run out of money, if you don't bring in the revenue you need to run it, it's a problem. So that's what we do. Just like, I guess you look at us around like any other business.
It's a business model. Yeah, exactly.
A business that makes zero profit. You just charge what it costs us.
Yeah.
We're truly the definition of a nonprofit out there.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope that clears it up for a lot of folks. Anybody have any other questions for Tammy?
I do not.
You anticipate the rates needing to go up?
We won't know until next month when the new CPI comes out, or CIP. Whatever.
I do that too.
Consumer price.
Yeah. We look at it in July, like Mark says.
Our contract allows them to make an adjustment. If they make an adjustment, we will have to make an adjustment. We operate on a very tight window for our revenue and expenditures. So if they make an adjustment, we have to make an adjustment.
So you said you had 72 additional residents taking advantage of but what's the total of residents that are taking advantage of the program? Maybe it was on there. I didn't.
237 for the second quarter, April through June.
So that's about a 20% increase, or 30% increase in that quarter.
And there's some reason to keep rates down at these type of facilities, because if the rates get too excessive, then people start dumping
in the creeks.
And we don't want that.
And the road right of ways. And Public Works has to go pick it up, and then it's a vicious cycle.
Which is another big reason I point out the free dump once a year.
Right.
I think we saw a difference in that when we started that. Okay.
And the free tires.
Yep.
That's a big.
I think that helped a lot
too. That keeps a lot of the tires
Yeah.
out of the right of way.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Tammy.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
Good luck with
Get
your
better.
surgery.
See you in a little bit. Take care.
Next, Adult Juvenile Community Corrections. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Well, we have closed out FY24 and are working on that currently. The report's not due till October, but because I calculated all these numbers here for you, I'm actually ahead this year. Are there any questions on the operational overview and the funding opportunity, the competitive grant we didn't receive, or anything?
Any commissioners have any questions?
Spells it out.
Yeah, currently we're just preparing for probation week. We got our audit yesterday. Our feedback, we were 83%. Most of the issues that we need to address are related to policies that purposely, some of them we didn't update. You know, if we're too good, then they are even harder on us every year. But this was the first audit we've had in 3 years, and Staff did amazing. We did great on agency culture. So just a few things that we need to address in updating our handbook. I did not put this in here, but we did receive the NACO award for being innovative and the way we are addressing positive reinforcement and improving the morale, not just of staff, but our interactions with the public. As you know, we previously talked about how we can get compassion fatigue in the work that we do, and it can contribute to burnout. So we're pretty proud of that. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions.
I have a question. You've been doing this for a number of years. I don't know how many years you've been doing this.
It'll be 4 years on September 14th.
Yeah. So have we seen we have all these programs. Are you seeing a positive trend in recidivism as far as these programs impacting it?
Absolutely, especially our juvenile prevention programs, which is why it was so upsetting that we did not receive those funds, because prior to us establishing our programs, there was nothing for children and youth, or children and families for prevention that provided them an opportunity to have a safe place for education, and parent project and strengthening families and other programs we do, anger management. We also outright pay for services related to prevention through those funds that we previously had, and it definitely impacted the trajectory of not just the kids but their families. So it cut down on sync cases and welfare involvement. It has improved these kids' futures, not just in cutting down on the delinquent behavior, but their engagement and participation in school, less chronic absenteeism, higher GPAs. If they are suspended or expelled for delinquent behavior, they're coming and working with us every day instead of sitting at home on video games. And my staff will hold their babies and help them with their online homework so that they can continue to work on credit recovery, so they aren't losing credits and getting further behind because they made a mistake. We're not just helping them correct those behaviors through learning different coping skills and referring them to treatment and services, not just for them but their family, but we're also helping them stay on track so that they can graduate and they understand the importance of education and working for something so they can be productive and have better futures instead of just be delinquents that stay in the system.
So on the juvenile side, you feel like you're seeing a lot of improvement. What about on the adult side?
The adult side, we just last summer had approved us to use the opiate funds that the county received to establish cognitive adult programs. It's too soon to tell. I don't have data and statistics to prove it, but it's evidence-based. I know it's going to work. It's been a critical need that we didn't have in-house anger management or in-house seeking safety, which is the number one intervention for people struggling with trauma and addiction. And it really helps with coping and skill building so people can problem solve and be more effective in how they deal with everyday stressors instead of going and, just numbing the pain and contributing to the cycle.
So for folks out there that are listening to this, you would say that because of these programs, these two programs for juveniles and for adults, we are reducing the number of folks that are going back out there and committing crimes.
Yes, and it's not just in recidivism, we're also improving community well-being and family well-being. If you can heal people and help them deal with their own anger-related issues and their addiction-related issues, you're also reducing the risk for future generations and improving household dysfunction. Because as you know, addiction is generational, trauma is generational, mental health issues are generational issues. There are genetic components to those. And, if you grow up in a household where people abuse alcohol or drugs, or they're struggling with PTSD and struggling with regulating their emotions as a result of that, it does impact children. And, the cycle persists. So we're really trying to disrupt that cycle and improve not just public safety, but the well-being of families and members in the community.
Just to follow up on what Mike's saying, Jamie did a great job. This is one of those departments like the Council on Aging that are so much done behind the scenes that people don't have the opportunity to see and appreciate. But I can tell you, I'm doing it for years, something like that, I know what's happening behind there, and it can be very stressful. So I appreciate what you folks are doing.
Thank you.
It's hard for everybody to see the results. It's one big issue.
That's right. That's right.
One thing I'd like to just point out, follow up on, Jamie mentioned a little bit that her organization is funded almost entirely by grants or state funding.
Yep.
The county does put money into it, and we have for a few years, thanks to Jamie's hard work. But we're so dependent upon those things to continue to offer services. And Jamie applies for every grant that's out there, some even though she doesn't want to, she does, even though
I've noticed.
late at night. I think she gets frustrated with me when I send her a new grant while she's working on the other grants. But Jamie does a good job of getting those grants. We did lose one, and it's not really losing, it's a competition, right? So somebody else got it.
Right.
We're not going to get them every year. It's like our road projects. We apply for grants every year, and some years we get them, some years we don't. It's not a reflection on what staff is doing or the application process. It's just that the state is going to award those grants on a rotational basis. And so we happen to not get it this time, but we will continue to pursue it. And Jamie and I are working through, and you'll meet her, you'll see her this afternoon for her budget. We're working on ways that we can retain that staff so we don't lose some of those functions. But it does hurt when we lose a $250,000 grant.
Right.
But I still think we're doing a great job.
We are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just keep applying for grants. I don't know. Someday I might ask you for a deputy director. Just remember this conversation.
Just for grants.
And we want you to know we really appreciate it. And from the taxpayers who don't really understand how important these grants are.
Yeah.
And you have a community event coming up next week?
Yes, so actually there are several events that Community Corrections is a part of. So next week on Wednesday and Thursday, we will be at Anthony Elementary School doing a community resource meet and greet. So unfortunately, we do see a lot of families and kids and adults do really well on supervision because they have the support of Community Corrections. But one of the evidence-based practices is to continue to encourage anyone that's on supervision to engage in resources in the community. That way they know what food pantries they can go to if they have to choose between paying utilities and getting food or clothing. And so we host a meet and greet every year during probation week. We invite out vendors. We're doing raffles. So any families are welcome to come. You don't have to be justice involved at all. We'll be raffling off some cool things, thanks to grant money. So if you come, you'll find out what technology we can raffle off. But it's from 11 to 2 on the 17th and 18th. We will have vendors from Sparrow Women's Clinic, DCF, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Guidance Center, CASA Advocates, Voc Rehab, Workforce Partnership, WIC. I'm working to get BOCC, Bikers Against Child Abuse, to also attend. And I'm also working on Kona Ice. So if you know families and parents, come out during the day from 11 to 2. You can find out about resources in the community. So that's next week. And then the following week, we'll be participating in the sequential intercept mapping workshop with 70 stakeholders across the intercepts from other local justice system stakeholders and all 5 law enforcement to city leaders and all of our mental health, substance abuse. We have people from the interfaith shelter, the housing attainability program, anybody that will come into contact with individuals struggling with substance use crisis and mental health crisis in the community that works with them to try to come up with a strategic community plan and map our resources and work together as collaborators with Policy Research Associates.
Very
So,
good.
We're really
Very
excited
good.
about that.
Very nice.
Thank you.
And again, I just wanted to give you another pat on the back for the grant writing, because a lot of people don't realize that directly affects the mill levy. You know, the department heads that we have that go out for these grants, people don't understand how important that is. I was told Jefferson County hasn't received one single grant in the last 4 years for their road and bridge. So we really appreciate the department heads that go above and beyond getting these grants.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And
You have
Jamie
anything?
spends a lot of after-hours time working on those things.
Yeah.
Grant writer.
You have anything else, Jamie?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
My mom's a resident. She's going to take advantage of the free dock day when we clean out her storage units. So I'm just trying to keep it low for everybody. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie.
I think that's all the quarterly reports we have. Move on to executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board recess for a closed executive meeting for the discussion of subjects involving the legal interest of the county and confidential matters related to the potential litigation as justified by KSA 754319B2 for consultation with legal counsel, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and the board resume open meeting at 9:50. In the meeting room of the board, present in the executive meeting will be the commissioners, person Vicky Cause, Mike Smith, Doug Smith, Mike Stevens, Senior County Counselor David Van Perry's, County Counselor Misty Brown, and County Administrator Mark Lawfrey.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Let the record show that we've returned to regular session at 9:50. No decisions were made. Discussion was limited to legal interest of the county.
All right. We're back in session. Any other presentations or
I got
discussion items?
one thing, Jeff.
Mike Smith.
Just a reminder that from Ida, which is Main Street, to Limit, which is 4th Street in Lansing, for the next 2 months there's going to be construction. They're redoing that, well, overlaying it and everything like that. A lot of curb work. A lot of it's going to be done at night, but it's going to be reduced down to one lane at some time, so just be aware of that. And in fact, you probably already saw the signs up and everything else like that. Just want to make sure everybody's up to speed on that. That's
Main
all.
Street, 7 Highway.
Right.
Yeah. It goes Main to 4th. That's why
Yep.
it's kind of confusing. That's all I have, Chair.
Okay. I don't have anything this week. Doug, you have anything?
Went to the Eastern Parade, and I saw some band was up there on the stage.
Yeah, the world's okayest band. Did you see the RC car pulling the 2/3 in the parade? Only in
It was
East.
a big parade. I mean, for a small town, it was a very big parade. There was a lot of ball teams.
It's getting bigger every year. think
Yeah, I saw
next
that on
year they're
Facebook. It was large.
Yeah, they're going to have some bands.
was going to get up.
Yeah, they're going to get the school band in it next year. They got plans already. The city council meeting last night, they're already making plans for next 4th of July to be even bigger and better.
It was fun.
Yeah.
My wife and I are going to the Republican National Convention next week, so we'll be ducking out here. So hopefully you all can hold it down, but it's going to be an interesting
We'll try.
experience.
You just hold it.
Oh boy.
Vicky, you have anything this week?
Well, I'm just leaving to go to San Jose for a Transit Authority Board of Directors meeting that I'll be back on Tuesday afternoon, so I will be present for the meeting next Wednesday.
All right. Nothing else. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
We are adjourned.